Hi everyone, welcome to the first group of the Ro16. I'm your caster Big Fan. Today we're going to have a TVT, a best of 3 series. The first player up will be C with MBC Game Hero. So his VT, while it's a small sample size, 4-1, pretty decent record overall. So he could definitely take this series for sure. On the other hand, his opponent is actually a teammate on MBC Game Hero. It's going to be none other than Light. So stat-wise, you can see Light is a beast in TVZ. His TVT looks a little more average, so to speak. Either way, this will be definitely a hotly contested series. So I can see other player taking this series. I don't believe there is personally, I don't believe there is a clear favorite. So match 1 will be started momentarily. So the map is Zodiac fighting. So our orange Terran at the 8/9 o'clock position, it's going to be Light. And our red Terran at 12 o'clock, it's going to be C. So these are interesting spawns. We haven't, I don't believe we've seen a TVT on this on this map in the Ro32. So we'll see what kind of strategies both of them will open up with. At the same time though, it wouldn't also be surprising if both of them open up with like a factory expand or even something like a Rasafi basically. There's quite a bit of travel distance. In terms of the spawns, I do prefer C's position because by being on the top left, it does make it a little easier for harassment play, so like dropships as such. It's compared to Light, who would have to basically travel all the way around the bottom of the map. Something I would like to see, although it's something like a 2-factor, because we haven't seen as many 2 factories in some of the TVX matchups, especially the ones that it could potentially work in. I am doubtful that we will see it here, but it would be nice to see that kind of play. We do see the SCV going down from either player, so we see the racks first. Everything's pretty standard. We do see the gas as well, and I believe we also saw a gas at Light's base. So factory openings from either player. We'll have to see if they're just going to go with the vulture and go for some mine play, or they'll start things off by getting, you know, a tank right after the vulture, or how are things going to work. Yeah, so essentially they're pretty close build-wise. Now the first SCV from Light is out, and looks like he will likely be scouting C first, so that will give him a lot of intel to what C is doing. On the other hand, depending on what she decides to do in terms of the scouting pattern, he might actually not scout Light until the last spawn, at which point he may be denied valuable information. Now C's factory is down, and I believe Light factory is down as well. So again, similar timings between them, there hasn't been many variations. Of course, there is that one Light SCV just causing another SCV to be pulled as well, trying to do a bit of damage. So it's not a bad idea from Light's part as well, because that's one SCV that C will have to pull to defend his building SCV. So we can see the one gas, or the one SCV on the gas, so that does seem to be signaling some kind of an expand coming up after the factory. And we do see, oh, and there you go, there's expand from C, and there is expand from Light as well. So they basically mimic each other. So the SCV from C actually gets to scout Light, Light on the first spawn, and that's really nice as well. It slightly delays the CC as well. So first buster out, we get the machine shop. Yeah, this is a pretty typical, we've seen in a lot of them. And we have to see, oh, it looks like it's actually making another vulture, so a bit of a deviation here. So depending on how Light plays it here, if he's able to hide this information, he can definitely come in and kill the vulture and maybe score an STV kill or two. But this would also depend on what they decide to do next. We do see another factory coming up from C. Are we going to see another factory from Light as well? Oh, and he gets the first hit as well. So it looks like Light is actually going to win this first one here, first engagement. Oh! No, it looks like C actually gets the upper hand, but the vulture just got cleaned up. But the other vulture is actually out for C as well. So one SCV is down. He can definitely catch the SCV there as well. Oh, and two SCVs are down. So at least he delays the C just a bit. I would say, was it worth it? I mean, it's still early part of the game, so every unit does count quite a bit. But on the other hand, Light does see what C is up to. And looks like he is getting a slightly faster armory than usual, if I'm not mistaken. So I do believe that's Mines researching for C, and I believe that... oh, so we see a tank out for Light. So again, some more deviations. I'll be interested to see if either player decides to... oh, and speed is actually done for C. So this can be pretty big, because he can easily just bolt past the tank and right into the main. Now, Light is aware of the potential for this. He does have a depot there, and the tank will help keep him safe. The full versus Voicing won't kill the tank. There's just quite a bit of armor there, and the damage is pretty... yeah. The army is finished as well. Now I am interested to see, we do see the gas for either player at around the same time, and interested to see which one is going to get the starports first. Because we have seen some previous TVTs, especially in this area, there was a lot of dropship play. So if you get the dropship up, there is a higher chance of harass, especially with a couple of vultures in like a main drop. Now there is quite a bit of vulture in the front though, and I wonder if that's actually mines coming in now instead of so. Because mines could be really, really great, especially with how many vultures he has. Just imagine how many he can lay. The port is finished for Light. And mines are out for C. So this will at least give C a chance to basically control the map. So he can at least get his third fast if he wants to. Likewise, he also does know about the starport of Light. And he casts this vulture as well. So it's nice wins for C. So that could potentially be Wraith, but at this point in time as well, it could also be a dropship. We still haven't seen anything from Light yet in terms of what he plans to use the starport for. So what he's essentially doing, and this is something I really like, is that he basically uses one of his units to move forward and try and drag the mines, and there is enough DPS in the back to actually kill them. Now, would you see the dropship is out? This does give Light, again, more chance to harass, but this can also mean that he can pick up an SCV and try building a CC on location, because there is an island there as well. Obviously, it can be a little hard to defend, but a couple of turrets there will make drops extremely difficult, extremely hard to land on as well. So I'm pretty doubtful that will happen, but we'll see. We've seen other Terrans lift CCs to that, or other Protosses also shuttle probes to it as well. Would you see a CC building there? So this is a nice mini play from C, so he knows that the Light is more likely going to expand to that location, so he gets some use there. Now, the Goliath dropship will deny a bit of mining at this base. There should be enough units coming back, but with good control, Light can definitely basically kill these vultures and keep all of his guys alive, and you can kind of see what I'm talking about. He's really great with the micro portion. He does lose the Goliath, but I think it was pretty worth it. Personally, I would love for him to actually go straight into the main, because it'll be hard for all the tanks to come right back to defend. So economical wise, definitely in C's advantage. I do like the fact that Light is starting to use the dropships for more harass, but looks like C is going to be setting a bit of a mini contain outside Light's expansion, so at the bridge there. And he does have the tank all the way at the usual third location. So the question is, what is Light going to do? Is he going to try and drop on top of that tank? Because you see more dropships. His CC is almost done as well. Oh, and there's 4 dropships. So maybe he might be planning to go for like a drone drop, basically a big drop. There's a single turret near the expansion, but honestly, for 4 dropships, that's not enough. You need more than that. So he does have 4 factories and all with machine shops, so he's out quite a bit. He does have his army coming in as well. It could also be that he's dropping SCVs as well, but it's more than likely he looks like he's going to, yeah, he's going for the drone drop. This will be scouted by the eBay, so it will give C a bit of time to move back, and there are some tanks there as well. Oh, and this would actually be a great drop. If he's able to drop here, he can definitely siege the factories. Now there is some tanks here for defense, but again, there is about quite a bit of tanks as well for Light. So Light looks like he basically looks like he's going to kill a lot of tanks of C, and he's going to be able to siege the factory. But this will definitely be cleaned up in due time. So this is definitely cleaned up. Now, was it worth it? I didn't end up noticing any of the dropships going down. Oh, it looks like actually one did go down, so down to 3. This did give at least Light some intel in terms of the fact that the army is coming in now for C as well. But again, C's position is still pretty nice. Having an equal advantage at this point will definitely play in his favor. Now, Light does have... See, yeah, so he actually looks like he's going to be taking the Iron Bit, which is fantastic. I do feel like he should be adding some tiers soon. Although we haven't seen a starport yet from C, and it doesn't look like it's anywhere in his base, so he actually will be safe for now, which makes me wonder if he knows about this. Would you see this CC floating? And looks like he's actually going to go for the break, basically. Oh, no, maybe. So I wonder what the dropship for. Maybe this was a bit of a bait to get him to unsiege. Oh, I don't know about this honestly though. He should definitely move back. You don't want to be losing tanks, especially when you don't have the advantage as much as C does in this game. So 5th factory is coming up. We did see the army finish earlier. Okay, so we do see this the first starport from C, but he doesn't even have the control tower yet, so no dropships inside just yet. But with this CC landed, Light, I feel like Light should just get a couple of tanks up on the high ground because they can do really well, especially with the pathing. But the dropships will at least help him to maneuver around a bit easier, and this will actually help him grab a bit more of the advantage. And you can kind of see he basically took the iron expansion. He's getting a couple of turrets up, and there's still no threat of dropships either. So this base is going to be safe for honestly quite a bit of time, and it also makes me wonder if he is aware of this. So this base can also be later used on almost as a stepping stone for any aggression. But yes, so Light is bringing himself back into the economical game, and I actually do love his position a bit more. So once he mines a bit more, he will have a better position than C. He did also have the earlier armory, so I do expect that he will have the upgrade soon, if not already. Unfortunately, I did end up missing it, so we'll see soon. So it looks like we actually have 1-0 for... Okay, so they're pretty evenly matched in upgrades. Now C is taking his 4th, and he does have a bit of map. He does have the map control, so this means he can actually take more bases as well. He'll feel a bit safer in that case. And looks like factory-wise they're pretty close as well, about what, 6-5 or 6-6 factories. But the economical-wise, this is definitely inching into Light's favor, especially with the fact that he is on 4 bases mine. He does have the 4 gases, and then at the same time he can obviously also be expanding towards the bottom at 3 o'clock. Now C is aware of this, so he is inching his tanks forward, but there is enough here with the high ground advantage that Light will be able to defend this, plus the fact that he can ferry units over. So the turret placement personally for light is interesting. I honestly would have liked a little more closer to the edge, just because it feels like there is still enough space for the dropships to come in. But there is quite a bit of turret, so I don't think there's as much concerns there. Seeing as there is quite a bit of clump tanks, honestly, I would love a couple of vultures dropped right on top. So it looks like Light's just going to maneuver around everything basically here. He's going to drop right into the 3 o'clock, and also this is going to get him to deny. He's going to be able to deny 3 o'clock. He can probably get a lift at the 2 o'clock as well. And at the same time, if he moves his tanks forward just a bit, he will be able to deny, or at least get a lift on the CC right adjacent to the main there. So he can essentially hit all 3 of them. Now there is quite a bit of tanks coming back from C. But that's one base that's been denied, which is nicely done from Light. And he should be firing target firing here to get a lot of the tank, because those are the important part. So you can basically see the tanks are being a bit target fired, but C will definitely clean this up. But this was still a nice win for Light. He doesn't want that base to go up. Now we do see something making, that's more than likely ports, that's more than likely dropships coming in, and C is getting himself back in from the eco perspective as well, but Light does have a bit of tanks in his army. He's up to 5 dropships now. So he does have a bit the map advantage. Again, that will translate to more bases that he can take, but also he needs to be wary of the dropships, and this is where things like comsats oh, and this was a nice drop right on top as well by Light, so he actually managed to kill quite a bit of tanks there. But there is honestly a huge amount of tanks here, and this is going to present C with an opportunity to try and bust this base here as well, and he can honestly definitely do it. He just has to get his tanks seized up ASAP, but there is the high ground here. There is quite a bit of tanks as well for Light. And you can see where something like having more dropships, you know, the faster port can play a big role. Now, it looks like C is definitely determined to take this. I don't know about this. I feel like there is a lot of potential for Light to defend. This is a very high chance. And you know for sure that he's going to be ferrying over another 8 to 10 tanks just with those dropships. So this feels like feels like C shouldn't be pushing it. But honestly, there is quite a bit of tanks as well, even with the high ground. Oh, and that was a nice one. Okay, so it looks like Light doesn't feel like it's not worth it to defend this, and he is running his SCVs away, but there is a huge amount of dropships coming Light's way, or C's way. They will be intercepted by the Goliath, so one is going to go down, but looks like he's going to be basically dropping them right into the main as well. So this is definitely a great idea if he can get on top of the factories. And now how many tanks is there? So it's quite a bit. Keep in mind that C does have a bit of, he can definitely get some units up towards his main as well as the base adjacent to it. But even then, this is still a nice position. The question is it going to do enough damage? Now, base-wise, you can see Light's basically floated his base to the 5 and 6 o'clock. I do see what looks like 2-0 for Light as well, so he is up in the attack upgrades. So this will make his tanks, you know, kill the enemy tanks in 2 shots instead of the usual 3. But we do see 2-0 as well for C. So okay, so upgrade-wise looks like actually very close as well. So it looks like Light is going to be taking this space, or plans to take this space as well. But I do see something red up in the top where the island is. So I wonder if that's like maybe a drop. Oh, so it looks like I see a drop as well. And looks like what's going to happen is that C will be killing a lot of these SCVs, and he will be forcing a lift on this, or he's going to basically clean up this base. So you can see this base did pay dividends off for Light. Oh, but there is another some text coming from us, so this base will be saved. But now that C does know about this base, if he didn't know earlier, this base is definitely going to be vulnerable, especially now that C has dropships as well. So it's going to make things much harder for Light as well. Now there is a big break in the center as well. So if this succeeds, what's going to happen is that C will be able to set outside the adjacent base. So that means that Light will not be able to take that base anymore. So he'll be confined to the bottom part of the map. And there's a lot of tanks as well. So C is definitely pulling ahead at this point economical wise. He's had the other 2 to 3 bases mining on the side, the 3 o'clock or the ones adjacent to it, and it looks like he's definitely hell bent on trying to kill the tanks on the high ground and make sure that Light can't take the space. So yeah, economical wise, this is easily in C's favor. I would love to see honestly more factories coming up from C if he's able to in one of the other bases, because that will mean it's easier to reinforce those bases, as well as the fact that he's going to have a lot of money coming in and be hard to keep up. On the bright side for Light, Light has managed to establish the 6 o'clock, and the 5 o'clock should be mining soon. But he is definitely on the back foot here, especially with C controlling a lot of the game now that he has his own dropships as well. So it looks like another drop is actually going to come in from C. The question is he going to go for the island or the main base? There is a lot of turrets on the side of the main base, so it might actually be a bad idea if he just dropped right on those, because he will lose a lot of his dropships before he even manages to drop most of his units. But C does control the center. He does have the the 4 or 5 mining bases right now, and he's mining gas from most of them. So it looks like he's actually going for the huge push on the front, and I think this is actually honestly a great idea. We only see the 4 tanks as well, and as soon as he drops on top, but there is a lot of tanks coming in, being dropped from the back, and basically the target front is going to be extremely important here, because this will make sure, and you can see this is fantastic by C. He's killed about 5, 6, 7 tanks. And even if he's not able to break this yet, honestly, there's only 4 tanks here. Part of what this does also is that it actually isolates, it forces a lot of the tanks in light space to basically stay in the main, because there is a concern that, C might just drop right into the main, basically. And considering that C does have the advantage, and he's essentially, his economy is kicking more and more, he's going to slowly start solidifying his lead, and he's going to go up in supply even more than he actually is at this point. And on the other hand, if you take a look at the light space, you can see he has the 3 baits on the side, he has the 2 at the bottom, but the 2 are essentially isolated aside from the dropships he's been using. So if he loses those dropships, those bases are as good as dead, and even now they're in a pretty bad situation. So that's why he's basically going heavy on the turrets. He realizes that he doesn't have much defense here, and a great drop from C would basically kill those 2 bases, and that would definitely be the GG. Now I do see what looks like something at 3 o'clock, but that might just be the resolution. Yeah, it looks like there's nothing there going on. But there was dropships from... Oh, he does not want to lose that. Every dropship that Light loses makes things worse for him. You can see he's basically contained in his main now. Now this is going... The next move from C is probably going to be deciding the game, because C is even expanding into Light's usual 3rd base. So he's basically taking all over the map, and at this point the whole map has been taken over, and most of it is by C. We do see again the ports coming in, more than likely barrack losers, or I wouldn't be surprised if he decided to go for math race as well. Arabic is coming in as well. So looks like there's going to be a break at the bottom base, and I think this is definitely a great idea, because again, as mentioned, the main is isolated, and there is enough units here to kill basically everything. So C is going to basically kill this base here. This will give me a stepping stone into the 6 o'clock, and with these 2 bases dead, Light will have to GG, especially against the much stronger economy and army of C. Yeah, so it looks like it's more than likely going to be BCs coming in. Although we haven't seen, yeah, there's a physics lab. So yeah, definitely BCs. So 5, 6, 7, looks like 7 ports as well. So that's going to be a lot of BCs. So if these are sprung onto Light, that's going to cause a faster GG as well. There is a mini break from Light, so this would definitely be successful for him. But honestly, the game is definitely going out of his control, because he's having a hard time even just securing expansions. Personally, I feel like honestly C shouldn't contest this, because he must realize that attacking the high ground, especially with the 4 tanks, 5 tanks, will be extremely difficult to break. And even though he will lose his CC there, it's still not necessarily a bad thing. Although he could also be seeing the tanks dying at a chance for him to free up some supply for some of the BCs. So this was a nice break as well from Light. Beautifully done, beautifully done. But again, his Goliath army is completely low. Or completely, yeah, his count is completely low. So I personally don't know about... oh, he's going to be extremely surprised when he sees BCs coming in. He doesn't have much AA to contest them. And this attack essentially, even though he did a lot of great pushing as well, this does mean that C is going to be killing more and more tanks, which is the big thing for him basically. And keep in mind, because of the eco, he can probably support more of the making BCs as well, making still couplings from his factories as well if he needs be, if need be. So a lot of his bases are well defended. He is good to go against any potential drops from Light. And we do see more and more ports are going up, and it looks like even some Wraith are going to be added in the mix. So it's probably going to be a BC Wraith combination, and this is going to catch Light off guard completely. So even though it looks like Light will be denying or potentially denying this at the top base, but a lot of the SCVs are also being sacked as well by C, and C is also actually going to break this as well. So that base actually ends up surviving, so that's even, so things are even worse. Oh, it looks like X is actually a Wraith, basically. So I wonder if C was planning to go for BCs originally, because we saw the physics lab, unless it was cancelled, and then decided he wanted something with a faster build time. Because the Wraiths are pretty fast compared to BCs, and you can get them out. They, you know, obviously cost less. They can travel much faster. You do have cloak as well, so you can always target certain areas and run away as well. And even though they aren't as strong as BCs against Goliath, they're still pretty decent units if you have them in large numbers, basically. Now there is a lot of turrets for Light, but you know, he's gonna have about what, 10 Wraith making at once. So he's gonna surprise Light all of a sudden, and he's probably gonna snipe the dropships as well. And I think that might be the game-ending move, because Light is still doing a pretty good job hanging on, but he doesn't know about the Wraith just yet, and that's the cloaked Wraith will definitely be a concern when he finds out he doesn't have much AA. You can see the scan as well. So I'm fully expecting the Wraith to just walk in and snipe all of these dropships. This was a nice drop from Light. There is enough units here to basically kill some of the tanks here as well. He'll be able to get, you know, the academy, the port, the depots as well. Do a bit of a supply block. Oh, but we see a lot of the Wraith are coming out now, and they're basically gonna clean this up. Looks like they just missed the dropship, but you get the GG basically. Light realizes that he is in a bad position. He's not gonna come back from this for obvious reasons. So C will take our first game, 1-0. With the first match being done, let's get match number 2 started. Second match will be on Blue Storm. This is extremely important for Light. He has to take this or he'll be eliminated. Fighting so our red Terran in the bottom left is going to be Light. And our whitest Terran in the top right is going to be C. So I've seen some TVZs in the map in the past where some players will go for like a 2-factory opening on this map. I'm not certain that we'll see either player do this, just because this is an elimination match, and these players are honestly pretty competent at betting that kind of stuff is scouted. So I do fully expect that either one will go for like a factory expand, especially with the fact that, you know, the travel distance on this map and such. One thing to keep in mind is, again, just that little nook right outside the expansion, where there's a choke there, and you can obviously park some tanks there and rage the expansion. So whoever's able to get that into the game and hold it, basically, will be able to do a lot of damage to the opponent. Now, we do see the depot on the high ground outside Light's expansion. This is something that House, if I'm not mistaken, also did as well, which is not a bad idea. We see also a depot as well from C. So this is more that we will not likely will be getting a racks as well, a follow-up. So we see the racks as well from Light. And the gas as well. So it looks like it's going to be a factory opener. We'll have to wait and see from what C decides to do. I do see what looks like a racks in C's base go down, and the gas as well. Okay, so it looks like he's basically mimicking Light. Pretty close builds, maybe an SCV off. Now, in terms of C's win versus player on this map, he's about 3-0, basically has 3 wins on this, if I'm not mistaken. On the other hand, Light only has a win and a loss, so C definitely has been playing the map better from the TVT perspective. This is a nice wall though from Light. This will definitely prevent a lot of run bys or anything along this line, only for the Marines. So, and it looks like what the factory is has started building in Light space as well. Now, it looks like C is going to be scouting around, probably wary of the potential of any proxies. And it looks like Light is doing something similar as well. Because keep in mind that C has tried to scout and wasn't able to, and Light gets blocked as well. So they both are playing somewhat in the dark about what the opponent is doing. Now the factory is a bit faster for Light, but we'll see how either of them will decide to deviate from here. If they will basically both go for the CC, or if there be like a second factory added on. So we don't see a Volta just yet from Light. And we see the port from C as well. Okay, that's interesting. So I want to see he's going to go for some kind of one base play. The SP just gets in there. I believe that should have been just within the range of the CC. It doesn't see anything, so that does give some intel to Light. Likewise, Light did see early, or to C, and likewise Light did see that there was no CC earlier for C as well. So, looks like this is pretty interesting. So it looks like Light might actually be going for a push here, and honestly, I think this is definitely it's not a bad idea. Because he does have the extra Marines, he will have the Volta being constantly rallied. And keep in mind that because C got the machine shop on his factory, that means his Volta production was paused for a bit. So this could honestly do a lot of damage from Light, and this might be exactly what he needs. Now this is going to come down to C's control. Oh. But you can see what I mean. That first vessel is going down, that's huge. Now that tank is out, and the tanks are quite beefy. But if this tank goes down, and it's going to be, again, it will be extremely a huge loss for C. But SCVs, I believe that a single SCV was lost. We do see the Wraith are coming in, and Light does scout it with the Marine there, so he knows what's coming. He does plant down his own CC, so I fully expect to see an armory, but he will also need an academy, like a ComSat, because he knows that cloak will be an issue. His fixed second factor is done though, so we'll have to see if he's already started the armor. At this point it's about 5:30. Now it looks like, yeah, the armor started, the academy started, so great. So he'll be able to get the concepts ASAP and get a couple of Goliaths to help to defend any of these from the Wraith harass. So he's definitely in a better position economically wise compared to C. C does have the technological advantage, especially with the faster port, because that will give him the potential for fast and more drop-ups in the later part of the game if he keeps making them or transitions to them. But C concepts are going down. I do wonder if C might potentially just stop making Wraith at some point, because we only see a second one coming out. We don't see the port blinking or anything, and he knows at this point that Light is aware of it, so it's not like a surprise kind of attack or anything like that. And Light's also going to be extremely well defended. He has the units, he has a lot of things. Now, there are 2 tanks moving down. If these tanks do have siege, he can definitely siege right outside the expansion. And I don't know if that is what he's planning on, but we do see them going towards the back. And looks like what he's going to do is he might actually use the Wraith to spot for the tanks. The question is, does he actually have siege done? Yeah, looks like he is done basically. So so essentially the whole top, and you can see like the tanks can actually raise the expansion. But now, one thing is that Light does have his own units. He can definitely kill these tanks. Oh, and there is an extra tank is joining as well. So with some SCVs, now this is extremely important. Light has to break this. If he does not break this, he will basically fall behind in this game. So the first tank is going down. The second tank is basically, or should be almost going down as well. And the third tank is going to be down as well. So this was beautifully done by Light. And he gets a Wraith as well on top of that. Fantastic, fantastic. Keep in mind again that C was working off the 1 factory. Light does have the 2, as well as the better eco. So the game will only get worse for C from here if Light's able to maintain this lead. Likewise, I don't believe we saw any armory for... we didn't see any army for C. It was hard to see if it was spinning for Light, but if his, some of his defense attacks, etc. coming, that will at least give him a bit of an advantage too. Plus, on top of that, he was able to kill the racks. What this essentially means is that C cannot make any more factories until he makes another rack. So that's another 150 minerals that he has to put up for that, as well as to wait for it to finish in order to make. So it's time and money and resources, so to speak. Now, on the bright side for C, he does have the Wraith. He can definitely scatter around and see what Light is up to, so at least he'll know the situation. And he can also adjust as needed, but he's definitely in the worst situation at this point. Now, we did hear the scans going off. It does look like it is a sizable tank count for C in the middle of the map. So that will allow him to take more expansions behind the tanks from the high ground. But it also looks like you can kind of see Light is doing or planning to do the same thing. Oh, but that was some nice. The tanks basically killed that one. So I believe we might be seeing a third go down from Light. Because at this point, C is more than likely not going to try to get to his half of the map. Because typically the map will get split in half as the game goes on, especially with the tank lines and such. So there is a chance that Light might just plop down as you see in the top left, just because there is a gas there. As the game goes on, I do expect a burst of factories as well from either player, especially now that things have calmed down, so that they can just get up more and more production structures. Oh, and we see even the port is done with the control tower, and there's got 2 more factories coming in from Light, and the CC as well. Perfect. Now, in order for C to come back from this, my own thought is he honestly, considering that he did lose that extra tank earlier on, he did lose that essential engagement, and he did have the later expansion. My own thought is that he honestly should be taking the third ASAP, and we see an SCV is down there, which is definitely not a bad idea. Now, we did see a dropship just recently from Light. So it looks like he might be planning to bank a couple of them out and just do a big drop into the main. But we see more and more, we see 2 dropships from C as well. Oh, and look at that. So it looks like it's going to be 2 dropships coming in from C just in the back. Now there is a nicely placed tank there. and he will be spotting this, but how much units does he have back in? How fast will his reaction be? I don't see the dropships coming back. Okay, so he's coming back, but these dropships will land, and this can do a lot of damage. So this can actually put Light further and further ahead, and that's 2 SCVs killed. And the best part about the dropships is that if there isn't much Goliath, he can definitely save them. Now there is 2 here, he does have to run them, but he can definitely skirt around to the bottom there, and you can see what he's doing. So mini win for Light. And if he knows about this, he can also just deny it and run off. Plus his third is finished, he is getting the gas as well, so he will get the gas sooner. Now that Wraith will just barely miss the dropships. Oh, okay, the dropships will be caught. Oh, and that was beautifully done by Light. He gets the Wraith just before, and he saves the dropship. So he lost the Goliath. I would say it's definitely worth it. You don't want to lose the dropships. So I do wonder at some point if we may start seeing like a turret here or 2 near the tanks, and you can see some turrets are going up near the middle of the map as well. 30C is almost done for C, but Light is keeping his economical advantage. Dropship count, I believe it's pretty close now. It's probably more than like a 3x3 because we do know that Light was making more and more. Looks like this will go to the usual split the map, take more bases, go with the drops, and then eventually like the frontal assaults and such when you see fit. So it's going to come down to who's able to play this better. And if you even take a look at the POVs you can kind of see how this basically split up for both of them. Light does have fantastic vision, that'll almost like a triangle there basically. C's vision isn't too bad either, she can basically catch anything coming in, and this is extremely important as the game goes on, basically to be able to react to drops. Now there is going to be a huge drop into C's base, and does C have anything here? Is going to be bring anything back? And that is a huge sizable amount of tanks. There's about 6 of them here, there's a couple of Goliath as well, and there's going to be vision provided by the dropship. Now the target is extremely important. He's going to get the 1 tank before it comes in. He's going to get the 2nd tank, and he's targeting the dropships, and this is extremely important as well. And if he kills those will also mean that C is going to be able to he will have to wait more to get more dropships, and this will be cleaned up. But oh wow, that was a huge SCV hit. What, like 10 SCVs, 11 SCVs were lost there. On top of that, it's only 3 dropships now instead of the 4 for C, and Light's up to the 5. So he's basically just going to keep compounding this. He's going to get more and more of an advantage. Now, one thing that's good for C is he's actually getting the 12 or the 6 o'clock. So about the same time as Light is getting the 12 o'clock. So he's going to be again still trying to catch up in the equal advantage. 1-1 is done for Light as well as C, so they are both similar in upgrade wise, with the Light having a bit of the economical advantage. Now, oh, and that was a beautiful scan as well from C. So we'll see what Light would like to do. I think dropping the base at 6 o'clock would honestly not be a bad idea. He said there's only 2 tanks there, and it's good to deny before it gets set up even more. But at the same time, he is worried, and he is aware of the possibility that C might just drop 12 o'clock, considering its proximity to his own base. And he's basically trying to balance that with the potential of attacking the bottom, because you want to deny them from getting more bases while maintaining your own, because that will give you the lead. But at the same time, you don't want to lose your bases recklessly, unless you're that far ahead that losing a base or 2 won't matter to you. Now it looks like there is going to be a frontal bust, and this is definitely not a bad idea. There is definitely more than enough to break here, and this will give basically the high ground, the advantage to Light, and this will also give him a path to attacking the bottom base, both from a ground and from a ground perspective. And you can see basically the little nook there. This is going to be extremely hard to defend for C. Now the SCVs are going to be pulled. A lot of them will be lost. And wow, you can see a lot have been lost, and not even a single tank is dead yet. That's how crazy strong this nook can be if you're able to get a nice position. Okay, 1 tank is down, but a ton of SCVs have been killed, and this is gonna again pull the eco advantage more and more into Light's favor. So what can C do at this point? He does have the dropships ready. It feels honestly like doing like a Doom drop in straight into C into Light's main is probably the best option for him. Because he has the units to defend this here. He has a couple tanks towards the top near the 12 o'clock. So just sitting here and waiting, it's not the best idea. But it looks like Light is ready for like a follow-up drop right into that expansion there. We see that the drops are coming in, so there's gonna be a huge drop here. Basically, there is gonna be more and more drop, but there is a lot of Goliath targeting the dropships here, and you can see basically. What's gonna happen is that wow, that's a huge hit. So C will come out of this. He is doing a great job with the defense, and a lot of units will die from Light, but a lot of SCVs have also been killed in the process. And this again is buying more and more time for Light to get more and more of his army up as well. So I don't know if you guys noticed there was a lot of Goliath in that with those drops. I think like half were probably Goliath, just like 12 Goliaths there as well. Would you see the mass starports coming up from Light? We'll have to see if he's going to go for the Wraith or he's going to go for the BCs. We see the physics tech lab, so more than likely BCs, which is definitely not a bad idea in this situation. But this bottom right base is exposed. This base will be taken down. Oh, and you can see, okay, wow, okay, so drop right on top. So C will definitely be able to clean this up. He does have more than coming in, but a lot of SCVs again were lost, and this has been the story of this the whole match basically. Light attacks somewhere, kills a lot of SCVs. The base is not dead yet, but there's less and less workers, so less economy coming in for C, and this keeps repeating basically. On the other hand, the army, even though the army of Light does get smaller with each attack, he does have the economic advantage. He is transitioning, so this does make sure that make sure that C is on the back foot, so he can't attack. Now there is a huge army coming in from C down the middle, but again, it will be extremely hard to engage this tank army uphill unless you have an overwhelming advantage, or you do a frontal attack with a lot of drops behind as well, just to try some of the fire. And now there are mines in front of those tanks as well, so it's going to be extremely more difficult. I know, look at that base. Just the three workers, basically down from the what, like the 15 workers, probably more. Oh, and we see even more. We see some more vultures as well from Light as well. So I mean, they won't be killing anything, but this base is definitely going to be easy picking for Light when the time comes, because there's barely any defense on it, and it's going to be one of the main ones, aside from the bottom right, which has already lost a lot of the workers. So I would say we should probably keep an eye on that base, because that might be the game-winning blow. Oh, but Light does not want to lose that, and he does lose the one drop to this. Unfortunate. He still is in a great situation. So you can see the attacks for the air are coming in. There is quite a bit of vultures here as well, so we'll have to try and see what he plans to do. Looks like he's just going to mine the area out, and he's going to go for the bottom right. That's just not necessarily a bad idea. And of course, Light did get that mineral expansion as well, just to go further and further ahead. He's already up to 4 BC as well. So once he reveals these, I fully expect that C would more than likely just have to GG. Oh, he didn't even have to go that far. So C calls the GG. So well played by Light. Great, fantastic game from him. C didn't do a bad job either, but Light just had the upper hand in most of this match. So with that said, match 2 is closed. We will be starting match 3 very shortly. So match 3, the decider will be on Katarina, fighting so the yellow player at 3 o'clock. It's going to be C. And the purple player at 12 o'clock is going to be light. So one thing, we did see this in I believe it was Flash versus I Love OOV game, if I'm not mistaken. This was the spawns where Flash was in light's position, and this does give, it did give Flash, and it's going to be light in this case, an easier chance to hit the back expansion of C. So you can definitely play for its advantage if he decides to go for like a earlier drops or even go for Wraith or something. As mentioned previously, the airplay is pretty popular on this map, and we have seen a few, you know, battle closers versus Wraith or Wraith versus Wraith battles. At the same time, this map is such a big map that we also have seen some players go for 14cc openers as well. So there is a chance that either or both players will go for the eco opener and try and wall off while they're taking up just to play up the catch-up game. We'll have to wait and see what either of them will do. So we don't see anything just yet from C. So it might be the CC opener in his case, basically. But I do see what looks like Arax has one up in Light's base. Yep, lax and gas. Okay, so it looks like we're going to be getting a factory opener at minimum, while on the other hand, C is going to go for the CC first. Okay, so honestly, this situation can turn extremely bad for C depending if Light knows about it. If Light scouts this, because if he goes for the scout, he will scout C on the first scout. If he goes for the usual scouting pattern, and he sees this, he can definitely go up to faster ports basically and go for like a drop right into C's expansion and kill a lot of SCVs. Do a lot of damage, especially if there's like a vulture drop with mines or with speed or something. Because keep in mind, C will just be starting his racks, or he just started his sacks after the C went down. On the other hand, the gas has already been started, so Light will have the faster factory and then the faster ports to compensate for that. So a lot of it will also come down to the defense, but we'll see how the scouting pattern works for Light. Now Light is actually scouting in the opposite direction. I see the SCC moving towards the 9 o'clock base. So what this means is that it's more than likely C will get away with this, which leads to the next question of what will Light do. Because we see his factory is going down. He has pulled the SCVs off the gas because he is getting his own CC as well. And it looks like both players will be scouting the other on the last scout as well, although the Rax is heading towards C's base, but it likely will just get there right with the SCVs getting there. So you can see the SCV scouted, the SCV is going off to that last base, so SCV knows that he is there in that base, and the Rax is just getting there now, so the Rax won't give a ton of intel to, the Rax will give a ton of intel to Light, and he will know just from looking at things, especially with the factory timing, that okay, there must have been some kind of a CC first opener. Now the high ground, you can see with the Marines, they can kind of contest the Vulture, and the Vulture will get on the high ground as well. It can do a lot of damage. Oh, and that was one down, but he does not want to lose this Vulture. Oh, okay, so this is definitely, from my perspective, not a good trade for Light. C played extremely well. Two Marines for a Vulture. I would definitely say that's C's win, especially with the fact that his own Vulture was late. You can see the Vulture just finished now. So from considering everything, even though tech-wise this was in Light's favor, between the faster eco, the factory count being essentially the same, you know, losing that first Vulture, this is definitely in C's favor right now. We'll have to see when he would like to add in the armory. It's a bit early now, but I do expect it to be added in the next minute or two. And we see another factory going down for C as well. So C does get into Light's base. This does give him a lot of intel. He will see what Light is doing, and he even sees the port going down. So this means that he should have his army down and the academy if he's concerned about it. Oh, do we see the army in the back of Light's base? That's interesting. So this seems like it was intention on his part. Maybe he wants to go up in the advantage game, the upgrade game, basically. But keep again in mind that you do need 2 attack upgrades on tanks to kill opposing tanks, and those do take a while. On the other hand, looks like it's a heavier Goliath tank army compared to the heavier Vulture, but speed is done here as well, and though it will cost scattering the SCV, which is a great minor win for C. So the next question is that what will C decide to do? Now it looks like I'm seeing more and more Vulture. It looks like it's 3 factory Vulture with speed, and I believe that might be mines coming in then. What this essentially would rely on is some really nicely placed mines. Will you see the EDB coming in, so that will help protect against the Wraith? Okay, so we do see some more machine shops, so maybe there's gonna be a follow-up of just more and more tanks added in at once just to compensate. Which makes me wonder, because we do see there was concern for Light, so he has obviously blocked off his front. So you know, Vulture roundabouts can be extremely devastating, especially when you're on this low of an eco. Like when you're only on 2 bases, so losing every SCV will hurt a lot more than if you're on 4 or 5 bases. And also he will have to be careful because there is going to be a lot of mines. So if moving out rocket can definitely do a lot of damage. So behind this, C is playing it really well. He is taking his 3rd base as well. He knows that Light can't move out just yet. Now the scan does go down, so he is clearing the mines, but those ones on the high ground will be a little hard to clear. Oh, okay, so massively done by Light. First tank is out, but you can see the Vultures are going to be running in here. Oh, that was a fantastic block though. So all the Vultures will be lost. So this was a huge win for Light, because now he knows that his concerns regarding Vultures running back in is no more, and the path has essentially opened up all the way to C's 3rd. Now siege is done, but there is only 2 tanks on the high ground. And we'll see what Light decides to do. Oh, and the first tank is down. Now keep in mind one thing is that oh, fantastically done. Keep in mind that this gas is now being ranged by Light, so she cannot take that gas anymore until he clears off the tank there. So we see, okay, so we see, you know, the racks coming in, so more factors can be added in for Light. Now C does have this bit at least mining minerals, so it's still not a bad situation, but there is a Goliath drop. Nothing has been killed, but it's a nice bit of a distraction. Oh, okay, so this is very interesting from Light. I mean, he's doing a lot of damage, and he's definitely going to be able to clean up the tank. So this is nicely done, actually. This is going to work extremely well. Oh, I don't know why he picked up the tanks there, though. Or the Goliath there. Now, the 3rd CC is floating down for Light. If I'm not mistaken, I believe he has a CC at the 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock. Yeah. Perfect. So he is going to be double expanding behind. It's not a bad idea. He has done a lot of damage in this base, and keep in mind he has kept C's army back. At the same time, is C aware of this? Does he know that Light is actually taking the base at 8 o'clock / 9 o'clock? We'll have to wait and see. The race has also done a lot of job just even spotting for vision. So Light has been doing a fantastic job so far. Now tank count, it actually looks like, it's hard to see, but it looks like the tank count's pretty even, maybe slightly in C's favor, maybe like a tank or so at best. But both of them have to rebuild the racks where they both lost it, so they're basically stuck at the same factory count. And you can see at the same time there is concerns from C regarding Light's potential drop into his back expansion because it's extremely close. Now this mini tank vulture contained, so to speak, is very interesting. I wonder if the purpose was to try and cut off any units moving from that side, as well as snipe any SCVs. I can kind of see what I mean. Even with the pathing, the scout, that the game will use, you could easily lose tanks here and there if you don't fix it. If you don't fix the rally points. So this is definitely looking better for Light right now. And he does have more factors that are finished at this point. He does have the port up as well. His third is mining. He is taking one in the bottom right base, and this is honestly this could be a brilliant move as well. Because keep in mind that C has to contest. So basically C has to focus on what he sees. The idea that Light is taking both a CC in the bottom right as well as at the 8 o'clock base. There's a chance that the bottom will not be scouted, because there is enough action going on between the two players. Now this base is scouted. The Vulture will get some SCV kills, but the SCVs are quite beefy as is. There is a drop. Oh wow, okay. So Light does break this bottom thing, and this will give him access to the third base, and I think he's just gonna probably go walk all the way up here. But there is quite a bit of tanks as well, so I don't know about this honestly. He's definitely a bad idea. He should definitely walk back. Now there is a lot of Vultures going towards the 8 o'clock base, and you're gonna have a lot of SCVs killed, if not all of them here. So this base will definitely be denied. Probably will cause a lift as well, because that is a large amount of Vultures. Having said that, Light would have had the equal advantage at this point in time. So you can see the SCVs have to run away. Oh no, he's going to be ferrying them because he realized that he's not going to be able to save them anyways. And not even a single Vulture is killed. On the other hand, at least Light will have the bottom right base. And he has done a nice job of breaking a lot of the tanks and reducing the tank count of C as well. Plus he has a lot of factors coming in. So it looks like there is X attack at the third expansion of C. C will definitely be breaking this though, that he has quite a bit of tanks left over. And there's only the 2 tanks of Light. So... Now if you look at the POVs, you can kind of see the areas that both of these players can see. So Light can see quite a bit of areas. C on the other hand is only limited almost like a... Now the question is, how much tanks does Light have in the center basically, and can this be broken? We do see a couple Goliaths, so that's at least a save. Oh, but there is quite a bit of tanks, and I don't know about this move. Oh, but there is some fantastic Tigers fighting there as well, and that tank is dead as well. So this will actually leave the back of Light's third exposed, and this could be extreme trouble for him. But we do have a couple tanks there, and you can see that Light does that, definitely still will maintain the better eco, and his bottom right is mine, and he has the gas from there as well. So despite losing a lot of SCVs at that 8 o'clock base, he's definitely still in the better eco position. We didn't even see any SCVs at C's third base either, so C is definitely falling further and further behind from that perspective. So he's gonna be double expanding, not necessarily a bad idea. The question is, what is he like? Is he gonna be able to set up his defense such that he can replenish his economy in time? Because Light is still making units throughout this. And now, even though these Goliaths may potentially be picked up, but the drop will help basically save a lot of these. Oh, but that was a nice mine as well. The SCV building in the back will be denied, so the Vulture will get more intel for C, but they will definitely be cleaned up. And looks like this base will be denied. Definitely not something that C would have liked, but this does give C there is a chance for C to push along the center if he feels that it is exposed. We can see it's pushing. There is an EB, so Light does know about this basically. I do expect he's gonna try and translocate some of his army. We do see that +1 is also done for Light as well. So it looks like C is basically going to try and deny the 8 o'clock bags, which is definitely not a bad idea, while making sure he has his own fourth base. I'm still surprised that he hasn't moved any units towards that third base of his, but I think it might be because there are the tanks there and they are denying the gas. But this bottom base has gone unscouted, honestly, and this is really bad for C. Like, hidden expansions can really change a game, can change your response for in a game as well. Oh, okay. This is very interesting the way he is breaking this. So this will definitely be broken from light. So C is losing more and more valuable tanks. Now there is a chance for a big push, and there is a lot of vultures here. So C needs to be handled this better. Honestly, he needs to get those tanks sieged up and on the high ground ASAP, because there is a lot of tanks there. But he did lose a lot of the vultures, which were soaking up a lot of the damage. So this could have honestly gone a lot better for him. But you know, if there is support coming in, there's going to be a lot of drops here, and tanks fighting up against tanks on the high ground, especially with it, is not a good idea. But oh wow, that was a huge hit as well there. But you can see the tank army of C is dwindling. Now 2-0 is finished for light. This is a huge advantage for him, because his tanks are now will be two-shotting the tanks of C, while C is only on the 1-0. I do expect 2-0 to be finished for C soon. On the other hand, we also have that one Goliath as well, killing a lot of units at the fourth of C and denying SPs from mining. So, and even more and more. So light is just honestly pulling more and more ahead. And you can see the map vision for light is honestly pretty insane. Light can basically, aside from that little gap near the 6 o'clock, light has huge vision over the whole area. So you can definitely react to anything that comes in. And he's going to be able to deny the gas at the third again. And this was... Now we are quite a bit into the game. We're about 17 minutes and 45 seconds. So no doubt... Oh, and GG. There you go. So this was extremely well played by Light. He took the economic advantage. He basically kept denying that third base of C, the third gas of C, and then between the eco, having the better eco, you know, some of the better engagements, although C did do a good job going around the map, Light will be advancing to the next round. He'll be our first quarterfinals contestant.